Greetings and welcome back to this channel. Jumping right in today with a special video for my people, specifically foundational Black Americans, also known as American descendants of slaves. This particular lineage, this video is for you. Now, of course, we have gone through in previous videos the contributions that we have made throughout our lineage here in the Americans since it's been America. We have talked about the contributions that not only we did in the United States or within the United States, but those contributions that have been shared all over the world. From the toilet stool to the stoplight to the automatic elevators, open heart surgeries, all types of plasma stuff. I mean, everything that we touch, yes. So, along with all of our great attributes, there are some things that we developed by force, and it has become a part of the fabric of who we are. And I want to go ahead and share this particular video that I found. This gentleman, he is phenomenal. I really don't know exactly what his program is or anything of that nature, but I can honestly say that about, I would say maybe over 10 years ago, I found a video that he did. It was a documentary. And keep in mind, previously, I had dove into the hidden colors. I ate that. I ate it. Like watching it over and over again, the different volumes of that. It taught me a great deal. It helped me to understand skin folk, those who share a darker complexion to me. So after that, I went on to another documentary called Black in America, Black in South America. And this particular gentleman, he is or was a professor at Harvard, and he came out with a series. And so I learned a lot from that. I was still missing something, and that was the spiritual side of these documentaries. So I kept searching, came across this gentleman by the name, and I'm going to call him Brooklyn Saint. Came across one of his videos, and it says Top Secret, the hidden identity, of Blacks in the Bible. And so that sparked an interest. I watched it. I was amazed. And that was the start of my spiritual journey within understanding hidden colors and Black in America. So without further ado, I found him this year. He has a lot of great stuff on his catalog on YouTube. I will put both the hidden identity of Blacks in the Bible. I'll put that in the description box, as well as this video that we're getting ready to review. You can watch it in its entirety, but I'm only going to take out a few snippets of that.
And so I estimate that only about 9% of the people who have inherited the Black consciousness can be saved. And the Black consciousness that I'm referring to is made up of a collection of ideas, beliefs, habits, and character traits which have their roots in the slave environment. And many of these have reincarnated into the descendants of the slaves and have taken on various forms in the continuously ever-changing environment. And so what I mean by that is, for example, self-hate. It didn't take on the same exact expression in slavery as it does today. And that's because the environment and what was available in that environment was completely different at that time. And so we can take straightening hair, for example, and also bleaching skin. Those products and that ability to do that was not available in that environment. So self-hate couldn't express itself in that manner. And so the way that people express self-hate, it changes as the environment around them changes and as the materials and the products available in that environment changes as well. But it's still a manifestation of self-hate. And so in the creation of the Negroes or Black people, The European colonists, they created an artificial environment, right? That was designed to make the slaves that were within that environment develop within themselves the worst ideas, the worst beliefs, the worst habits, and the worst character traits, right? That would drag them down into the pit. And so this was the creation of the Negro, who was the creation of the European for the sole purpose of being a permanent slave. That's coming from the Europeans' imagination, right? To make this type of person. And so most of the blacks today, they're trapped in this pit, right? But in varying degrees. And what I mean by that is that there are some who are still at the very bottom of this pit, some who have climbed to the middle of this pit, and some that have climbed even further up, right? But what I'm saying is that there's only 9% today who are going to climb completely out of the pit, right? And receive the reward at the end of that climbing. And so how does one climb all the way out of the pit, you may ask?
5%.
The answer is easy, but the action takes much effort. And the answer is you have to stop being a black person. And how do you do that? By not continuing to do what black people are known to do. And why would you want to do that? Because what black people are known to do has shown over and over and over to not work, right? It hasn't worked in creating good relationships. It hasn't worked in building positive communities. It hasn't worked in achieving better education. It hasn't worked in promoting better health. It hasn't worked in raising better women. It hasn't worked in raising better men. It hasn't worked in creating a better life today. It just hasn't worked. And so when something has shown itself over and over and over not to work, then what does the critically thinking person do? They do something else. And what does the crazy person do? They continue doing the same exact thing and then hoping for a different outcome. And so which of these do the blacks in America fall under? The critically thinking or the crazy? You tell me. And so the job of the 9% is to escape from all of these unproductive ideas, unproductive beliefs, unproductive habits, and unproductive character traits that you have inherited from your foreparents. That's your job. This is the caterpillar into the butterfly, the black consciousness into the new consciousness. Now listen closely because I want you to look at this from a very specific angle right now. Now answer this. What has happened when you have found yourself facing a very tough time in your life? Maybe you've experienced some type of hard breakup or some type of divorce, or maybe you've been caught up with a drug or alcohol addiction or any type of adversity that really seemed to have set you back. Now, if you didn't rise above that situation, then what happened? You remained down low in a low state. That's the pit, right? That's the caterpillar. And we all know that the caterpillar is preparing to become a butterfly. Just as these low situations are preparing the old human or the old person to emerge into a new human or a new person. Understand? And so the adversities are necessary for the growth because they create the necessary circumstances for correcting the character, modifying the mindset, or perfecting the personality. And how that looks is that when you find yourself in a pit, there's going to be certain ideas, beliefs, and certain behaviors that's going to keep you stuck down there. But on the flip side, there's also certain ideas, beliefs, and behaviors that's going to raise you up out of that pit, right? And it's your job to find out what those are. But understand that in order to apply them and to get all the way out of the pit, what's going to happen is you have to make tweaks to your character, your mindset, or your personality along the way up, right? And it is those tweaks right there that are exactly what were needed for you to evolve as a person or to turn into the butterfly. That was a requirement for you, right? And so the purpose of the pit is to put pressure on your personality so the I am that I am that's within you can become what it will become. This is life's purification process, and you can know it for your own self by all of the pits that you have climbed out of during your own lifetime, right? They've made you a stronger, wiser, and more resilient person. Those were the times that created change in you as a person. Now understand this. When we take this perspective from the personal level and we zoom out, we can see it on the group level, and then we can examine the case of the Negro. The dealers of destiny selected a number of people to go through a unique purification process, with the outcome of evolving a specific aspect of human consciousness. Thus, we have the beginning of the Negro consciousness in the pits of slavery as the caterpillar. And for the past few centuries, the Negro consciousness has been slowly evolving, right? Due to the environmental pressures that were placed upon it, right? Some people evolving quicker than others, some people evolving slower. And so in recent history, it has reached its final phase of evolution, where it can now finally evolve into a new consciousness, right? Which is the destiny of it. But the old Negro consciousness must first be shed before a person can experience this. Just as in the process of becoming a butterfly, it must shed its old skin. And so I want you to pay attention right now to what I'm about to say. Only about 5% of the caterpillars are going to reach the stage of a butterfly. What happens to the rest of them? They don't make it.
Okay, this was so good. I think I'm going to make another part of this because there's so much to unpack. I just wanted to stop it right there. So in the beginning, he gives us a little bit of history of how we came to be in the situation in which we are today. Now, there are some other things that I could add to that I believe are also a part of it. I have said this in other videos, but the Birth of a Nation, I think that was the first motion picture film that came out. That movie pretty much marketed and they pretty much targeted fear of Black people, fear of the freedmen, fear of the freedmen. So that was one of the things that I just wanted to jump in there. But based off of what he said, and he did just, in my opinion, a phenomenal job of breaking it down to the lowest common denominator. He talked about that we were, when we came over or when we got captured here on this land to work as slaves, we were stripped of anything that we knew prior to. We didn't just come over uneducated. We had plenty of knowledge, because if you watch any of my other videos, I took samples of Brooklyn Saints, of all the characteristics and all the things that we did while we were living on the west coast of Africa and in southern Africa, parts of like southern West Africa. And really broke down a whole lot of things that we were during that time. However, when we got over here, it was a different story. We had a purpose for coming over here, and it was not our choice, or it was not our choice to become slaves if we were already in this land. It was not our choice. However, they had a plan. The Europeans, Portuguese, all of them, they came in together. They had a plan as to how they wanted to make us operate. You can even go back to the Willie Lynch letters. And this video is not really about that, but I want to drive home the fact that everything that we knew coming off of the ship or being captured here on this land, every tradition, our culture, all of that was beaten out of us to the point where we were fearful to do anything different once we were freed. Once we were freed, they had already programmed us to be the way that they wanted us to be. He mentioned that the job, we were supposed to be slaves here forever, was the thought, was the idea. But that's a different story. We overcame that. And as a result, during those years, hundreds of years of slavery here, we picked up certain characteristics. We picked up certain beliefs and we picked up certain behaviors. And those behaviors, those beliefs, and those characteristics were instilled in us to make us feel like we are nothing, to make us feel like we don't have a brain. We are only to operate as robots. We're not allowed to read. We're not allowed to write. We're not really allowed. If we could have gotten away without learning English, they would have done that too. But they needed us to speak and understand and comprehend in English in order for us to be able to follow the orders that they commanded us to do. So all of this pressure that we had, getting beaten, seeing our loved ones being ripped away from us, all of the things that you can think of that was done, I don't really want to get into all of that. That came to be the way and the reason why that slave mentality continued on from one generation to the next generation, all up until present day. It has just, like he said, it had evolved. So he was saying back in the day, with all of that programming of self-hate, that's what we did. We started to self-hate each other because we were being judged by the mere color of our skin and where we came from, and really, if we want to go deeper, who we really are. But that's you can look at some of my past videos and watch Brooklyn Saints video that I'll put in the description box. He was saying how in order to get rid of the slave mentality, you have to stop being black. Taking those things that did not give our best selves, to start peeling that stuff off as a butterfly that is ready to break from the cocoon. We have to start breaking away. And the purification process, according to him, and it's just common sense. A lot of what he said sounds like things that you would hear about in the Bible. A lot of this stuff, it really sounds like, or like he said, I'm not here to preach to you, but you need some type of foundation. And I have said that in past videos. You have to have some sort of foundation in order to be able to move and to see what's coming and know how to move throughout the earth. A lot of stuff, why would they tell us the truth about things? Why would they educate us with facts? Why would they educate us with truth? Because they, at the end of the day, they still want that slave-like mentality. They still want that slave-type behavior. They still want that slave-type belief, which keeps us at the bottom. He talks about the pits and how you have different levels, but according to his calculations, and I pray that there's more, but his is kind of similar to what the scriptures say, the Bible say about only a certain percentage will make it, because we are our worst enemies. We refuse to submit to a higher power fully. And as a result, we keep going around and around in circles. So we need to stop having that Negro, that slave mentality. And we need to evolve. Whether you're at the bottom and have no clue how to get there, whether you're in the middle and you keep climbing, and every now and again you might slide down a couple of bricks, back down a little bit more, but you still keep climbing. And then you have those who are at the top and they're still climbing because they're trying to deprogram themselves from what has been taught to us from generation to generation to generation up until present day. So there's a lot of work to be done, and he gives us the steps. In order to start the purification process, you have to have a renewing of the mind. You're going to have to turn from those things that you are accustomed to. You're going to have to know that, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be saying that. I shouldn't wear this. I shouldn't wear that. I shouldn't say this, and I shouldn't say that. I should, changing changing your mind, changing your personality, changing the way that you know is negative, because you all know if there's a positive or a negative. You know if something in your life is for your good or for your detriment. You know the difference. You feel it. Everybody feels it. But then it's up to you to decide which path you choose to go. So I'm going to continue this in a part two because I don't want this to go long. But again, if you like this content, please like, share, subscribe, and comment below. Y'all don't be putting the thumbs up, the thumbs down. You don't do none of that stuff. And I ask each and every video. So I need for you to do that. As a matter of fact, let's take a moment of pause for you to do that right now. Go ahead and do that for me, please. You know, you got your remote control. You just push up. Okay. And while you're at it, you can go to my picture with this little circle and you can subscribe to this content. That's what you can do for me, okay? I look forward to see what you have to say. And again, I will see you in the next video. May God bless.